Have you ever noticed how tightly your hands have been clenched? Not just your physical hands, but the invisible grip you've held for decades on outcomes, on people, on the person you thought you had to be. After 60 years of living, you've carried so much. Responsibilities that felt like stones in your pockets, expectations that sat heavy on your shoulders, roles that you wore like armor, never quite sure if you could take them off without losing yourself entirely. There's a question that often arrives uninvited in the quiet hours after 60. It doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It simply appears, gentle but persistent. Of everything I'm still holding, how much of it truly belongs to me now? It's not about what you own or what you've achieved. It's about what you're still gripping so tightly that your knuckles have gone white. What you've been carrying so long, you've forgotten it was ever a choice to pick it up in the first place. The Buddha understood something profound about the human condition. He saw that most of our suffering doesn't come from what happens to us, but from our inability to release what has already passed. We hold on to old stories, to faded identities, to relationships that have changed, to versions of ourselves that no longer fit. And in that holding, we create a subtle violence against the present moment, a quiet rejection of what life is offering us right now. After decades of trying to control outcomes, protect others, and carry more than the heart was meant to bear, life begins to whisper a softer truth. Letting go is not abandonment. It is not giving up or checking out or admitting defeat. Letting go is actually a return to yourself. It's coming home to who you are when you're no longer defined by all the things you're trying to hold together. Today, we'll explore 8 Buddhist lessons that can help you rediscover ease, flow, and inner freedom in these precious years. These aren't abstract philosophies or religious commandments. They're invitations to live more lightly, to breathe more deeply, and to finally give yourself permission to rest in the spaciousness that comes when you stop gripping so tightly. If you've been feeling the weight of it all, stay with me. What you're about to discover might just change everything. 1. Letting go is not giving up. Letting go is coming home. There's a story that's been passed down through Buddhist communities for centuries. A monk was traveling through the countryside when he came upon a river. Standing on the bank was a young woman, beautifully dressed, who was afraid to cross because the current was strong and she didn't want to ruin her clothes. The monk, despite his vows to avoid contact with women, lifted her onto his shoulders and carried her across. On the other side, he set her down gently, and they parted ways. Hours later, as the monk and his companion continued walking, the companion could no longer contain his shock. "How could you carry that woman?" he demanded. "You know, we're forbidden to touch women. You've broken your vows." The monk looked at him calmly and said, "I put her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" This is what holding on looks like. We carry things long after they've served their purpose. We grip situations, conversations, and outcomes that ended years ago, replaying them in our minds as if they're still happening. After 60 years of life, you've probably accumulated quite a collection of these burdens. The worry about how things might have turned out differently, the relationship that ended badly 20 years ago that you still rehearse in your mind, the career choice you second-guess, the words you wish you'd said or hadn't said. The Buddha taught something radical about this kind of suffering. He said that attachment is like holding a burning rope. The longer you grip it, the more it sears your flesh. But here's what most people misunderstand. Letting go doesn't mean you throw the rope away with anger or resentment. It means you simply open your hand. You recognize the rope is burning you, and you choose to release it, gently, with understanding. After 60, you begin to see the truth of this with painful clarity. Most of your suffering didn't come from the actual events of your life, but from the sleepless nights worrying about what might happen, the anxiety about outcomes you couldn't control, the fear of losing people or things that, if you're honest, were never really yours to keep in the first place. You held on because you believed that's what love meant. That's what responsibility looked like. That's what a good person does. But there's another way to love. A way that doesn't require possession. A way that honors connection without demanding control. The Buddha called this metta, or loving kindness. And it's one of the most liberating practices you can embrace after 60. When you offer loving kindness, you care deeply about someone's well-being, but you release the need to manage their life. You love them, but you don't need to hold them in place. You support them, but you allow them to find their own way, make their own mistakes, walk their own path. I once met a woman named Dorothy at a meditation retreat. She was 73 and had spent decades carrying guilt about her son's struggles with addiction. "I should have done more," she told me, her hands twisting in her lap. "I should have seen it coming. I should have been a better mother." She had held that guilt like a stone for 20 years, believing that if she just carried it long enough, it would somehow change the past or redeem her failures. During the retreat, we practiced a simple meditation. We visualized placing our burdens down, one by one, like setting stones on the ground beside us, not throwing them away in anger, not burying them with shame, just setting them down, acknowledging them, and then stepping away. Dorothy wept quietly as she imagined placing that stone of guilt on the earth. "I'm not a bad mother for letting this go," she whispered to herself. "I'm just tired of carrying what I can't change." That's what letting go is. It's recognizing that you've been holding something that was never yours to fix or carry or control. It's understanding that you can care deeply about someone without taking responsibility for outcomes that belong to their journey, not yours. It's the wisdom to know the difference between compassion and captivity, between love and obsession, between helping and hovering. After 60, letting go is not defeat. It's returning to yourself after years of being bound by responsibilities, fears, and expectations that may have served you once, but now only weigh you down. It's opening your hand around the burning rope and feeling, perhaps for the first time in years, the cool relief of release. It's coming home to a simpler truth. You are enough, right now, without holding anything at all. 2. Letting go of old stories, rewriting your life in the second half. For years, maybe decades, you've lived inside stories you told yourself, stories that once helped you survive, make sense of the world, find your place in it. I must be strong. I cannot fail. I must take care of everyone. I'm the one who holds everything together. These narratives became so familiar that you stopped questioning them. They became the invisible architecture of your identity, the script you followed without realizing you were reading from a page written long ago. But here's what the Buddha understood about stories. They're not the truth. They're interpretations, constructions, habits of mind that we mistake for reality. He taught about something called anatta, which means no fixed self. The idea sounds abstract, even unsettling at first. No fixed self? But then who am I? The answer is both simple and profound. You are not the same person who started reading those old scripts. You have changed, grown, survived things you never thought you could. And yet, you may still be trying to live inside stories that are now too small for the person you've become. Think about it this way. When you were 30, certain stories made sense. I must prove myself in my career. I need to be the perfect parent. I can't show weakness. These narratives may have helped you navigate a particular stage of life. But at 65, 70, 80, are they still true? Or have they become prison walls disguised as protection? There's a powerful Buddhist teaching about this. The Buddha once said that suffering doesn't come from events themselves, but from the stories we build around them. A relationship ends, and that's painful, but it's the story we tell about what that ending means. I'm unlovable, I always ruin everything, I'll never find happiness again. That creates the deepest suffering. An event lasts a moment. A story can last a lifetime if we let it. After 60, you have a sacred opportunity. You can finally look at the stories you've been carrying and ask, is this still true? Does this serve who I am now? Does this reflect the wisdom I've earned through all these years? Or is it just a worn-out script I've been too afraid to rewrite? I think of a man I knew named Thomas. He had built his entire identity around being a provider, a problem solver, the strong one his family depended on. For 40 years, that story worked. But after retirement, after his children grew up and moved away, after his wife became more independent, Thomas found himself lost. I don't know who I am if I'm not the one fixing everything, he confessed. He felt invisible, irrelevant, as if the only version of himself that mattered was the one who was constantly in motion, constantly needed. It took him time, but Thomas began to realize he could write a different story. Not someone who endured too much, but someone who has learned enough to begin again with peace. Not the man who always had to be strong, but the man who can finally rest and let others carry their own weight. Not the fixer, but the witness, the companion, the one who offers presence instead of solutions. This is what the Dharma invites you to do after 60. To look at your life not as a tragedy or a comedy or a heroic struggle, but as a story you're still writing, and the pen is in your hand. You get to decide what the next chapter says. You get to choose whether you'll keep rehearsing old narratives of regret and inadequacy, or whether you'll write new ones rooted in gratitude, acceptance, and the freedom that comes from knowing you've already survived the hardest parts. Letting go of old stories doesn't mean denying your past or pretending pain didn't happen. It means refusing to let the past be the only story you tell about yourself. It means recognizing that you are not your mistakes, your losses, your failures, or even your achievements. You are the awareness that witnessed all of it, the presence that remained through every change, the life force that kept showing up day after day, breath by breath. The Buddha would say, you are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions, you are not the stories your mind creates. You are the vast, spacious awareness in which all of these arise and pass away. And when you begin to live from that place, the old stories lose their power. They become what they always were, just words, just thoughts, just clouds passing through the clear sky of your being. So, what story will you tell about your life from this point forward? Will it be a story of decline and loss, or a story of ripening and release? Will it be a story of bitterness, or a story of hard-won wisdom? The choice, dear friend, has always been yours. 3. Aging into ease. Suffering softens when you stop fighting your mind. Most of your suffering doesn't come from the world, but from the battlefield inside your own mind. The constant commentary, the endless what-ifs, the rehearsing of past conversations, the imagining of future catastrophes. After 60 years, you might have hoped this internal noise would quiet down, but often it gets louder. The mind, sensing that time is growing shorter, becomes more insistent, more urgent, more relentless in its fears. But here's what the Buddha discovered sitting under that Bodhi tree all those centuries ago. The mind is like weather, constantly shifting, sometimes stormy, sometimes calm, sometimes dark with clouds, sometimes brilliant with sunlight. Anxiety, sadness, fear, joy, these are all weather patterns moving through the vast sky of your awareness. They're not who you are, They're simply what's happening right now in the mind's atmosphere. This might sound like a simple observation, but it's actually revolutionary, because if thoughts and emotions are just weather, then you don't have to fight them. You don't have to fix them or make them go away. You can simply watch them arise, acknowledge them, and let them pass. Just like you don't go outside during a thunderstorm and shout at the clouds to stop raining, you don't have to battle every difficult thought or uncomfortable emotion. You can simply find shelter, wait it out, and trust that the weather will change, because it always does. The problem is, most of us have been taught to fight our minds, to suppress difficult emotions, to think positive thoughts and push away negative ones, to be in control of our mental states at all times. But this approach creates a war inside you, and wars are exhausting. After 60 years of battling your own mind, you might be ready for a ceasefire. The Buddha taught a practice called equanimity, or what Buddhists call upeksha. It's the ability to meet whatever arises in your mind with a kind of spacious acceptance, not resignation, not defeat, but a gentle, wise acknowledgement. This is what's here right now. This anxiety about tomorrow, this sadness about the past, this fear of decline, this loneliness, this joy, this peace, all of it is weather. All of it will pass. When you stop fighting your mind, something remarkable happens. You sleep deeper because you're not lying awake arguing with your thoughts. You speak softer because you're not constantly defending yourself against internal criticism. You live more fully in the present instead of in imagined futures that may never come to pass. The mind still creates thoughts and emotions, but you no longer take them so seriously. You recognize them for what they are, temporary visitors passing through. There's a Zen teaching about this. A student asked his master, "How do I stop my mind from wandering?" The master replied, "Who is asking? Find the one who is watching the mind wander, and you will have your answer." The point is that there's a part of you that observes your thoughts but isn't captured by them. That's your true refuge. That's the spacious awareness that remains steady even when the mental weather is turbulent. After 60, you have the wisdom and the weariness to finally stop fighting. You've tried to control your mind for decades, and you've probably discovered that it doesn't work. Thoughts keep coming. Emotions keep arising. The mind does what minds do, but you can change your relationship to all of it. You can become the sky instead of the storm. You can watch the clouds pass without believing you are the clouds. This doesn't mean you become passive or indifferent to your inner life. It means you become more compassionate toward yourself. When anxiety arises, instead of panicking or judging yourself for being anxious, you can say, "Ah, there's anxiety. Hello, old friend, I see you, but I don't need to follow you down every dark corridor today." When sadness comes, instead of pushing it away or drowning in it, you can say, "Sadness is here. It's part of being human. I can let it move through me like weather." The Buddha once said, "You are not punished for your anger. You are punished by your anger." The same is true of anxiety, fear, regret, any difficult emotion. The emotion itself is not the problem. The problem is when you believe it defines you, when you let it dictate your actions, when you wage war against it, instead of simply allowing it to be. So here's the practice. When a difficult thought or emotion arises, pause. Take a breath. Feel where it lives in your body. The tightness in your chest, the knot in your stomach, the tension in your shoulders. Acknowledge it without judgment. This is anxiety. This is sadness. This is fear. And then, gently, return your attention to your breath, to the present moment, to the miracle that you are still here, still breathing, still alive. When you stop fighting your mind, you discover that suffering softens on its own, not because you've achieved some perfect state of enlightenment, but because you've finally made peace with your humanness. You've stopped expecting yourself to be immune to the weather of life, and in that acceptance, in that gentle letting go of the fight, you find a kind of ease you've been seeking your whole life. 4. The freedom of not needing everyone to understand you. There is a particular exhaustion that comes from spending decades trying to explain yourself, to justify your choices, to make people see your perspective, to be understood, validated, approved of. It's a burden that weighs heaviest on those who've spent their lives as caretakers, as peacekeepers, as the ones who smooth over conflicts and make sure everyone else is comfortable. But after 60, something shifts. You begin to realize that the need for everyone to understand you is itself a form of attachment. And like all attachments, the Buddha would say, it creates suffering. Because the truth is, not everyone will understand you. Not everyone needs to. And more importantly, you don't owe anyone an explanation for who you are or the choices you make. This might sound harsh at first, especially if you've built your identity around being agreeable, around keeping the peace, around making sure no one is upset with you. But there's a profound liberation waiting on the other side of this realization. When you release the need to explain yourself, when you stop performing for others' approval, you reclaim an enormous amount of energy. Energy that's been leaking away in endless mental debates, in rehearsed conversations that never actually happen, in the constant vigilance of wondering what others think of you. Buddhism teaches that attachment to opinions, whether your own or others, creates a particular kind of suffering. The Buddha called this papanka, or mental proliferation. It's the way one thought leads to another and another, building elaborate storylines about what people think, what they might say, how you should respond. It's exhausting, and after 60 years of it, you might finally be ready to stop. I remember speaking with a woman named Margaret who was 76. She had recently made the decision to stop attending her church after 50 years of membership. It wasn't that she'd lost her faith. It was that the church had become a place where she felt judged, where her questions were unwelcome, where she had to perform a version of herself that no longer fit. I tried to explain my reasons to everyone, she told me. I wrote long emails. I had difficult conversations. I wanted them to understand, but they didn't. And that was okay. Because Margaret realized something profound. She didn't need their understanding to live according to what her heart already knew. She didn't need permission from the community that had once defined her. She could honor her own truth without requiring everyone else to validate it. This is the freedom that comes after 60, the freedom to live without performing for others, to make choices based on what brings you peace, not what earns you approval, to say no without offering a litany of justifications, to say yes to things others might not understand, simply because they light something up inside you that's been dim for too long. The Buddha once said, "Those who are free of resentful thoughts surely find peace." And part of finding that peace is releasing resentment toward people who don't get you. They're living their own lives, seeing through their own filters, carrying their own wounds and stories. Their inability to understand you says more about their experience than it does about your worth. When you stop needing everyone to understand you, something else happens. You become more authentic, because you're no longer filtering yourself through the question, will they approve of this? You can speak more honestly. You can make choices that align with your values rather than your fears. You can show up as yourself, messy and imperfect, and beautifully human, without the armor of explanation. This doesn't mean you become cold or dismissive of others' feelings. It means you recognize that their feelings are theirs to manage, just as yours are yours. It means you offer kindness without needing it to be reciprocated. It means you share your truth without demanding that others adopt it as their own. There's a Zen saying, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The point is that your essential life doesn't change. What changes is your relationship to it. You're still you, making choices, living your days. But you're no longer enslaved to the opinions and judgments of others. You're free to simply live according to what your heart already knows, without seeking permission from anyone. So let them misunderstand, let them judge, let them wonder why you make the choices you make. You don't owe them the story of your inner life. You don't owe them access to your reasoning. What you owe yourself is the courage to live authentically in whatever time remains, to honor the wisdom you've earned, and to walk forward lightly, unburdened by the need to make everyone comfortable with your existence. 5. The quiet power of releasing roles you've outgrown. You've spent a lifetime wearing roles: parent, partner, caregiver, problem solver, provider, peacekeeper, professional. Each of these roles mattered. They gave you purpose, structure, a sense of being needed. They were garments for the soul, ways of moving through the world that helped you understand your place in it. But here's what no one tells you. These roles were never your true self. They were masks, costumes, characters you played so well that you forgot they were performances. After 60, many of these roles naturally begin to fall away. Your children become adults with their own lives, their own crises to navigate. You retire from the career that once defined you. Your spouse may pass, leaving you without the familiar rhythm of partnership. Your body changes, making it harder to be the one everyone depends on. And in the loss of these roles, you may feel like you're losing yourself. But the Buddha would say something different. He would say that what you're losing is not yourself, but the illusion of a fixed self. Buddhism teaches anatta, the understanding that there is no permanent, unchanging essence to who you are. You are not the roles you played. You are not the titles you carried. You are the awareness that witnessed all of it, the life force that animated each character, the presence that remained constant even as everything else shifted. Holding on to old roles when they no longer fit is like wearing clothes from 40 years ago. They might have been beautiful once, perfectly suited to who you were then, but now they're tight, uncomfortable, restrictive. They don't allow for the fullness of who you've become. Yet, out of fear, out of habit, out of the worry that without these roles you'll disappear entirely, you keep trying to squeeze into them. There's a story told in Buddhist communities about a snake that sheds its skin. The snake doesn't mourn the skin it's leaving behind. It doesn't try to carry the old skin forward or stitch it back on. It simply releases it and moves forward in the new body that has been forming underneath all along. That's what letting go of old roles is like. It's not a loss. It's a revelation of what was always there, waiting to be seen. I think of a man named Robert, a retired teacher who spent decades being Mr. Thompson to hundreds of students. When he retired, he felt untethered, as if he'd lost not just his job, but his identity. "I was a teacher," he would say, voice heavy with past tense. "That's who I was." But slowly, through conversations and reflection, he began to see a different truth. He wasn't a teacher. Teaching was something he did beautifully and with deep dedication. But underneath that role was a man who loved learning, who was curious about the world, who cared about others' growth. Those qualities didn't retire when he left the classroom. They were still there, available to be expressed in new ways. He began volunteering at a library, having conversations with young people who wandered in, sharing books he loved. He wasn't Mr. Thompson anymore. He was just Robert, offering his presence, his warmth, his genuine interest in others. And in releasing the need to be defined by his old role, he discovered freedom he hadn't known was possible. This is the gift of later life, the opportunity to live through presence instead of usefulness, through connection instead of obligation. When you're no longer defined by what you do for others, you can finally discover who you are when you're not doing anything at all. You can sit quietly and not feel guilty about it. You can say no to requests for help without feeling like you're failing. You can allow others to carry their own weight while you rest in the spaciousness of simply being. The Buddha taught that all phenomena are impermanent, constantly changing. This includes the roles you inhabit. They arise when conditions support them, and they fall away when conditions change. Fighting this natural process creates suffering. Accepting it creates peace. When you can hold your roles lightly, when you can wear them without becoming them, you discover a flexibility, a lightness, a capacity to move with life rather than against it. So, ask yourself gently, what roles am I still clinging to? What identities feel too small for who I am now? What would it be like to set them down, not with bitterness, but with gratitude for how they once served me? And in the space that opens up when you release them, who might you discover yourself to be? You are not what you do. You are not who you were. You are the awareness that watches all of these roles come and go, the steady presence that remains when every character has left the stage. And that presence, that essential you, is more than enough. 6. Loosening your grip on outcomes. Life flows when you stop forcing it. For decades, you believed that results depended entirely on your effort, that if you worried enough, planned enough, tried enough, controlled enough, things would turn out fine. You shouldered the responsibility for outcomes that were never fully in your control. You lost sleep over decisions. You agonized over possibilities. You held your breath through every uncertainty, believing that your vigilance somehow kept disaster at bay. But after 60 years, if you look back honestly, you might notice something remarkable. Most things unfolded in their own rhythm, regardless of your anxiety. The children you worried over constantly turned out okay, not because you micromanaged every decision, but because life carried them forward in ways you couldn't have orchestrated. The career moves you agonized over led to unexpected places, some better than you hoped, some different than you planned. The relationships that ended despite your best efforts, the opportunities that came without you chasing them, the moments of grace that arrived precisely when you stopped trying to force them. This is what the Buddha meant when he taught about letting go of outcomes. It's not resignation, it's not passivity, it's not giving up on trying or caring. It's something far more nuanced. Do your part with full effort and intention, then release your attachment to specific results. Plant the seeds, tend the garden, then trust life's intelligence to bring forth whatever is meant to grow. In Buddhism, this understanding is woven through the teaching of the middle way. Not too tight, not too loose, not straining with excessive effort, not collapsing into laziness, finding that wise balance between engaged action and spacious acceptance. The Buddha compared it to tuning a stringed instrument. Too tight and the strings break, too loose and they make no sound. Just right and music emerges. After 60, loosening your grip on outcomes becomes not just wise but necessary, because the body itself is teaching you that control is an illusion. You can't control when your knees will ache or how much energy you'll have on any given day. You can't control whether your children call or visit. You can't control the economy, the weather, the shifting landscape of modern life. What you can control is extraordinarily small. Your effort, your attitude, your response to what unfolds. I remember a conversation with a woman named Helen who had spent years trying to save her adult son from his poor decisions. She worried constantly. She intervened repeatedly. She lay awake at night running through scenarios, strategies, solutions. I thought if I just tried hard enough, cared enough, stayed vigilant enough, I could prevent him from suffering, she said. But eventually, exhausted and depleted, she had to face the truth. His life was his to live, his mistakes to make, his lessons to learn. She could love him, but she couldn't control his outcomes. Letting go of that illusion of control was like setting down a heavy backpack she'd been carrying for decades. She still cared. She still offered support when asked. But she stopped trying to manage his journey. And in that release, something unexpected happened. Their relationship actually improved. Without her constant anxiety and intervention, there was space for him to grow into his own wisdom, his own strength. And she discovered she could breathe easier, sleep deeper, live more fully in her own life. This is the gift of releasing outcomes. You stop wasting energy on things beyond your control. You do what's yours to do with care and attention, then you let it go. You plant the garden, but you don't pull on the seedlings trying to make them grow faster. You show up for people you love, but you don't try to live their lives for them. You make choices based on your values. Then you trust that whatever unfolds contains its own wisdom, its own rightness, even if it's not what you planned. The Buddha taught something called dana, or generosity. True generosity means giving without attachment to how your gift is received or used. You offer what you can, then you release it. The same principle applies to effort. You do your best, then you release attachment to specific outcomes. You trust that life has its own intelligence, its own timing, its own way of bringing things to fruition that your limited perspective can't always see. When you live this way, when you loosen your grip on outcomes, you discover a kind of synchronicity. Things unfold with less force, less friction. Not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because you're no longer fighting against its natural rhythms. You're flowing with it instead of against it. You notice opportunities appearing that you would have missed when you were too fixated on one particular path. You experience a lightness, an ease, a sense of being carried by something larger than your individual will. This doesn't mean you become passive or indifferent. It means you become responsive rather than controlling. You show up fully for whatever is in front of you right now, without being hijacked by anxiety about tomorrow. You do today's tasks with care, without burdening them with the weight of every possible future consequence. You breathe easier, you sleep deeper, and gradually, you start to notice gentle synchronicities, moments where life arranges itself in ways you couldn't have planned, but that feels strangely perfect. So the invitation is simple. Do your part. Show up with effort and intention, but then open your hands, release the outcome. Trust that life knows what it's doing, even when you don't. And in that release, discover the flow you've been seeking your whole life. 7. Letting go of hurry, living deeply in each moment. In youth, life moves fast. We rush through tasks, through days, through entire years. There's always somewhere to be, something to do, someone to meet. We measure our worth by productivity, by how much we can pack into 24 hours, by how efficiently we move from one obligation to the next. Speed becomes a virtue. Busyness becomes a badge of honor. And somewhere in all that rushing, we forget to actually live. But after 60, the body and heart begin teaching a deeper truth. Hurry is a subtle form of violence against yourself. Not the dramatic kind that leaves visible wounds, but the quiet erosion that happens when you're constantly rushing past your own life. When you eat without tasting, when you walk without feeling each step, When you have conversations without truly listening, always half present, already thinking about what comes next. The Buddha saw this clearly. He taught that rushing is actually a rejection of the present moment. When you hurry, you're essentially saying, "This moment isn't enough. I need to get to the next one, and the one after that, as fast as possible." You're perpetually leaning forward into a future that hasn't arrived yet, missing the only moment you actually have. This one. Buddhism offers a different approach, one that becomes increasingly precious after 60. It's called mindfulness. Though that word has been so overused, it's almost lost its meaning. But at its core, mindfulness is simple. It means arriving fully in the moment you're actually living. Not just physically present, but attentively, caringly present. Present enough to notice the warmth of sunlight on your face. Present enough to taste the tea you're drinking. Present enough to hear not just the words someone is saying, but the feeling underneath them. This isn't about moving in slow motion or becoming inefficient. It's about recognizing that after 60 years of rushing, you might finally be ready to arrive. To actually be here, instead of always on your way to somewhere else. To let each moment be complete in itself, rather than just a stepping stone to the next thing. There's a Zen teaching that speaks to this beautifully. A student asked his master, "What is the most important moment?" The master replied, "This one." The student asked, "What is the most important work?" The master said, "Whatever you are doing right now." The student asked, "Who is the most important person?" The master smiled and said, "Whoever you are with." This is the practice of living deeply, making wherever you are the only place, making whatever you're doing the most important thing, making whoever you're with deserving of your full presence. It's not complicated, but it's also not easy, because it requires unlearning decades of conditioning that told you productivity matters more than presence, speed matters more than depth, doing matters more than being. After 60, speed begins to lose its importance. Naturally, the body doesn't move as fast. Tasks take longer. The mind sometimes needs more time to process, to remember, to find the words. And you have a choice. You can fight against this slowing, resent it, rail against it, or you can recognize it as an invitation to finally live at a human pace instead of a machine's pace. I think of a man named William, who had been a surgeon for 40 years. His entire life had been governed by urgency, emergency surgeries, life and death decisions, no time to waste. After he retired at 67, he found himself still rushing everywhere, still eating lunch in 10 minutes, still treating every moment as if it were an emergency. Until one day, his wife said something that stopped him cold. "William, nothing you're doing today is urgent. Why are you running through your own life?" That question shook him. He began deliberately slowing down, taking 20 minutes to drink his morning coffee instead of gulping it, walking around the block, not for exercise, but to notice things, the quality of light, the sound of birds, the changing seasons, having conversations without checking his watch. And gradually, he discovered something unexpected. Time didn't speed up when he slowed down. It actually expanded. When he was present, when he wasn't rushing, moments felt fuller, richer, more alive. This is what Buddhism calls deep living. Not adding more activities to your life, but going deeper into the ones you already have. Walking slowly enough to feel each step, to notice how your foot meets the ground, how your weight shifts, how the air moves across your skin. Eating mindfully enough to taste each bite, to notice textures and flavors instead of just consuming fuel. Listening so completely that you hear not just words but silences, not just content but feeling. The Buddha said, "The present moment is the only moment available to us. and it is the door to all moments. After 60 years of trying to get somewhere else, you might finally be ready to walk through that door. To discover that depth, not length, is the true measure of a life well lived. That one moment of full presence is worth more than 1,000 moments of distraction. So here's the invitation: let go of hurry. Not because you're slow or diminished, but because you've finally earned the right to live at a human pace, to savor instead of rush, to notice instead of overlook, to arrive fully in the life you're actually living, right here, right now. Because this moment, this breath, this sunrise, this conversation, this cup of tea, this is it. This is life. And it's been waiting patiently for you to finally show up. 8. The quiet strength of living lightly. After 60 years of accumulation, of responsibility, of carrying the weight of others' expectations and your own, there's a question that begins to surface. What would it feel like to put it all down? Not in defeat, not in resignation, but in a kind of graceful release. What would it be like to live lightly, to move through your remaining years, unburdened by the need to hold everything together? The Buddha spoke often about this quality. In Buddhism, it's woven through the understanding of impermanence, of non-attachment, of the freedom that comes when you stop trying to possess or control or cling to anything. True strength after 60, the Dharma teaches, is not endurance, it's lightness. It's the capacity to hold things with an open hand, to care deeply without gripping tightly, to love without demanding permanence. Lightness doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care without the burden of attachment. You can still feel deeply moved by beauty, by connection, by meaning, but you're not frantically trying to capture it, freeze it, make it last forever. You appreciate the flower while it blooms, knowing it will fade. You enjoy the conversation while it flows, without needing it to resolve into some perfect conclusion. You love people while they're here, without the desperate grip of fear about losing them. This kind of lightness comes not from having less, though simplification helps, but from carrying less in your heart. Less resentment about the past, less anxiety about the future, less need to be right, to be understood, to be recognized. When you live lightly, you choose gratitude over grievance, presence over pressure, inner stillness over the constant noise of wanting things to be different than they are. There's a beautiful image in Zen Buddhism of the empty boat. A monk is rowing across a river when suddenly another boat crashes into him. He's furious, ready to shout at the careless person who hit him. But when he looks over, he sees the boat is empty, just drifting, and instantly his anger dissolves. There's no one to blame, no enemy to fight, just conditions arising, as they do. Living lightly means recognizing that most of what happens in life is like that empty boat. Events unfold. People behave according to their own conditioning, their own pain, their own limited understanding. The weather changes. Bodies age. Circumstances shift. None of it is personal. None of it requires you to carry resentment or hold grudges or replay injustices in your mind for years. When you understand this deeply, when you really see how much energy you've spent dragging the past around or fighting against realities you can't change, something loosens. You can set down the heavy backpack of old hurts. You can stop rehearsing arguments with people who aren't even in your life anymore. You can release yourself from the prison of needing everything to be fair, or make sense, or turn out the way you wanted. I met a woman at a meditation group who embodied this quality beautifully. Her name was Ruth, and she was 81. She had lost her husband, raised 3 children mostly alone, survived breast cancer, and watched one of her sons struggle with addiction for decades. By any measure, she had earned the right to be bitter. to complain, to feel cheated by life. But when she spoke, there was a lightness to her, a kind of gentle humor and acceptance that felt like grace. "I decided a long time ago," she told me, "that I could either carry around all the pain and unfairness of my life, or I could put it down and live whatever time I have left without that weight. So I put it down, not all at once, little by little, and every time I set something down, I could breathe a little easier. That's the practice. Little by little, choosing gratitude when resentment feels more justified, choosing presence when your mind wants to spin stories about what might have been, choosing love when fear tells you to protect yourself by withdrawing, choosing stillness when the world demands you keep running. Living lightly doesn't mean you become indifferent or detached in some cold way. It means you engage with life fully, but without the desperate grasping that turns everything into a burden. You can feel sadness without drowning in it. You can feel joy without clinging to it. You can face difficulty without collapsing under it. Because you're not carrying the extra weight of resistance, of wishing things were different, of holding tightly to how you think life should be. The Buddha's final words to his disciples were these: "All conditioned things are impermanent. Work out your liberation with diligence." Liberation, that's what lightness is. Not the absence of challenges or sorrows, but freedom from the extra suffering we create by fighting against reality, by holding on to what must pass, by refusing to let life flow through us the way water flows through an open hand. So, as you move forward, as you walk through whatever years remain, ask yourself, what am I still carrying that I no longer need? What burdens can I set down? What old identities, outdated stories, exhausting obligations, toxic relationships, needless possessions, can I release with gratitude for how they once served me, but with clarity that they no longer fit? And in that releasing, in that choosing to live lightly, discover what you've been seeking all along, the freedom to be exactly who you are, right now, without apology or pretense. The freedom to meet each moment with an open heart instead of clenched fists. The freedom to finally come home to yourself. Closing. Life flows when you stop holding so tightly. We've walked together through 8 invitations, 8 Buddhist lessons on the art of letting go, not as a loss, but as a return to the spaciousness you were born with before life taught you to grip and guard and control. A return to the ease that's been waiting patiently underneath all the striving and protecting and holding on. Letting go is coming home. Letting go of old stories is rewriting your life with wisdom instead of regret. Letting go of fighting your mind brings the ease you've been seeking. Letting go of needing everyone to understand you offers the freedom to finally be yourself. Letting go of roles that no longer fit reveals the vastness of who you actually are. Letting go of outcomes creates the space for life to surprise you. Letting go of hurry invites you into the depth of each moment. And living lightly, that's the whole point. That's the gift of these years. The Buddha taught that clinging creates suffering and release creates peace. After 60 years, you've earned the right to finally believe him. You've carried enough. You've held on tightly enough. You've proven yourself 1,000 times over. And now, in whatever time remains, you get to practice something different. Opening your hands, breathing deeply, trusting that you are held by something larger than your own effort. This doesn't mean you stop caring or loving or showing up. It means you do all of those things with less weight, less desperation, less fear. You offer your love without demanding it be returned in specific ways. You give your best without needing particular outcomes. You live fully in each moment without constantly grasping for the next one. There's a beautiful image in Buddhism of the lotus flower. It grows in muddy water, pushing up through darkness, through muck, through obstacles. But when it finally breaks the surface and blooms, it's pristine, untouched by all the mud it passed through. Not because the mud wasn't there, but because the lotus didn't absorb it, didn't hold on to it, didn't let it define the flower's essence. That's you after 60. You've moved through the mud of life, the struggles, the losses, the disappointments, the failures. But you are not that mud. You are the flower that keeps blooming, keeps opening, keeps reaching toward light. And the more you release what you've been carrying, the more clearly your essential beauty can shine through. So, if this message has touched something in you, if you recognize yourself in these words, know that you're not alone. Many of us are learning, together, how to live with open hands, how to love without possession, how to care without control, how to be fully alive in the time we have, without the burden of grasping at what must eventually pass. The Dharma is not complicated. Open your hand, breathe deeply, notice this moment, let go of what no longer serves you, and in that spaciousness, that lightness, that freedom, discover that you've been complete all along. Life flows when you stop holding so tightly, and you, dear friend, are ready to flow. If these reflections have spoken to your heart, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. What are you ready to let go of? What would it feel like to live more lightly? And if this message might help someone else walking this path, please share this video. Subscribe to continue this journey of wisdom together. And remember, every breath is a new beginning. Every moment, a chance to open your hand and discover what freedom feels like. May you walk lightly. May you live deeply. May you find the peace that comes when you finally, gratefully, let go.